After nearly a 2-year-long gap, Samsung has revived its fan edition smartphone line with the Galaxy S23 FE. And there are some mind-blowing upgrades this time, with more capable cameras, a faster chip, and a more modern design. But how does it compare to the Galaxy S23, which was well received by fans and critics alike when it launched earlier this year? Is it an easy choice to make? Let's take a closer look. But first, if you're excited to see one of the biggest tech showdowns of the year, then go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Starting off with the design, the difference between smartphones is not very noticeable at first glance. Aside from the S23 FE's more vivid and popping colors, it comes in mint, graphite, cream, and purple hues, with indigo and tangerine options exclusively available on the Samsung website. The S23, on the other hand, has a more classic and subdued palette. It's available in green, phantom black, lavender, and cream. Lime and graphite options are exclusively available on the Samsung website. A closer look reveals they share a similar flat frame, display, and rounded corners. The S23 FE has a slightly larger 6.4-inch display, whereas the S23 has a 6.1-inch one. The former also has smaller cameras, and its front bezels are slightly larger. And for the first time in the series history, the S23 FE features a glass back instead of plastic. However, it only gets Gorilla Glass 5 protection, unlike the flagship S23's all Gorilla Glass Victus 2 construction. Surprisingly, the S23 FE's display gets the older Gorilla Glass 5 treatment too. That's a downgrade compared to the S21 FE, which had the newer Gorilla Glass Victus protection instead. Despite these differences, Samsung has left the phone's outward design mostly the same. The volume rocker and the power button on the right side are there. The bottom of the phone houses the USB-C port, SIM card reader, and loudspeaker. And sadly, there's no headphone jack. Also, the S23 FE lacks eSIM support, which may be a deal breaker for frequent travelers. The switch from plastic to glass on the back of the S23 FE adds quite a bit of weight. It measures 76.5 by 158 by 8.2 millimeters and weighs 209 grams. This is slightly larger and heavier than the S23, which measures 70.9 by 146.3 by 7.6 millimeters and weighs 168 grams. Now let's check out what's inside the two phones. Both come with 8 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigabytes or 256 gigabytes of onboard storage. They also support 5G, LTE, Wi-Fi 6E, and Bluetooth 5.3, and have an IP68 rating to protect against dust and water. They both support 25 wired charging, 15-watt wireless charging, and 4.5-watt reverse wireless charging. However, the S23 FE has a bigger 4500 milliamp battery as compared to the S23's 3900 milliamp. The S23 also has the cutting-edge Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor, while the S23 FE comes with the previous gen's Snapdragon 7 Gen 1. Both of the chips have a 134 core configuration, with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 including a single Cortex X2 Prime core clocked at 3.2 GHz, 3 Cortex A710 performance cores clocked at 2.8 GHz, and 4 Cortex A510 efficiency cores clocked at 2 GHz. While the Snapdragon 7 Gen 1 processor has a prime core clocked at 2.4 GHz and performance cores clocked at 2.36 GHz. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 supports LPDDR5 RAM and UFS 3.1 storage in 128GB models and UFS 4.0 storage in 256GB variants, while the Snapdragon 7 Gen 1 only supports LPDDR4X RAM and UFS 3.1 storage across the board. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 also offers faster 5G connectivity and more powerful AI processing capabilities. The S23 also has a more powerful Adreno GPU than the Adreno 660 GPU in S23 FE. This enables it to handle demanding graphic tasks like gaming and high-resolution video playback more efficiently. Now, Samsung has finally given its fan edition a much-needed camera upgrade this time around. The S23 FE has a 50-megapixel main camera with f1.8 aperture and a 12-megapixel ultra-wide camera with f2.2 aperture, similar to that of the S23. However, the S23 FE only has an 8-megapixel telephoto lens as compared to S23's 10-megapixel. This means you won't be able to capture distant subjects with the same level of detail and clarity as you would with the S23. The front camera on the S23 FE is also inferior to the S23, with only 10 megapixels and f2.4 aperture. In comparison, the S23 has a 12-megapixel front camera with f2.2 wide aperture. Now, when it comes to pricing, the S23 starts at $799.99 for the 128GB model and goes up to $899.99 for the 256GB variant, while the S23 FE starts at an impressive $599.99 for the 128GB model and goes up to $699.99 $199 for the 256GB variant. Now comes the big question. Which one should you buy? The S23 FE makes all of the right compromises to be $200 cheaper than the Galaxy S23. You still get a gorgeous AMOLED display, near flagship grade performance, capable cameras, and even premium features like IP68 water resistance and wireless charging. However, the flagship S23 has a better camera system and packs a far more efficient chipset, giving better performance and a longer battery life. They are also available in smaller sizes, if that's according to your taste. Ultimately, the choice is yours. So which phone will be your next upgrade? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.